Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Attack the Baseline, a WNBA podcast where every episode we attack our baseline knowledge of the WNBA. We're your hosts, John and Kristen Barber, and today we're back talking about real hoops. The 2025 WNBA season is here, and we're excited to bring you our 10 takeaways from this weekend's action. And we're going to get into all of it. Every team will be touched upon. So if you're a fan of every team, there's going to be at least a mention about your team. But before we get into all that, Kristen, how are you?
Hi, John. I'm thinking about these games this past weekend. I'm great. Mm-hmm. It was a very fun weekend. We didn't have many plans for the first time in a while. So we sat and we watched all these games. A few we saw in the car. Yes,
right. So we had to drive. Sometimes you just got to put on the call.
But it was a great opening weekend, I thought. Mm-hmm. Lots of drama, lots of unexpected results.
Yes.
So very fun. Personally, I'm tired. Mm-hmm. The school that I work at is putting on a production of Annie Kids this week. And though that is not my job, somehow I am the sound engineer in this production. So this week is our Annie Kids shows.
Well, the first show is tomorrow, and I will be there, and I'm very much looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. But that has nothing to do with women's basketball, at least as far as I know. Maybe they're going to add a spin on the production of Annie, but we have a lot of stuff to talk about, but before we do that, if you are new here, welcome. If you would like to send us an email, you could do so at our email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or connect with us on Bluesky and Instagram at ATBPod. We're there. We're talking about the games. We had full slate this weekend that I was so excited to be back online talking with the community about. It's really great over there. So give us a shout out. Check us out. And see what's going on over on Bluesky, having a good time there. Today, we are going to do something that we haven't done before and actually use a rundown to organize our thoughts as we talk about these games. Because, like Kristen said, we did try to see them all, and we did see them all in mostly every detail. So we're going to do our 10 takeaways from the weekend's action. Kristen brought 5, I brought 5. And we're just going to let the conversation flow. So without any further ado, let's start from the top. Kristen, yours was number 1. Mm-hmm. What do you have as your first takeaway?
My first takeaway, and I don't want this in any way to be, taken out of any context, that it was just the first thing that I thought of. But obviously, I'm thinking about the Fever and the Sky game and just how good the defense was for the Fever. Mm-hmm. Because that was a huge gap, a huge hole last year.
Right.
And they made a lot of moves in the offseason, and Caitlin worked, Aaliyah Boston worked, and they had an incredible defense.
Yep.
I can just run down. Caitlin Clark had 2 steals, 4 blocks.
4 blocks for Caitlin is crazy.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Aaliyah Boston had 5 blocks. Mm-hmm. Natasha Howard had 3 steals, 1 block. Mm-hmm. Kelsey Mitchell had a steal. Lexi Hall had 2 steals. DeWanna Bonner had 2 steals. Sydney Colson had 3 steals.
That's City.
It's like 13 steals.
That's a lot.
In this game.
A lot of steals.
And part of it is, how much does this say about the Sky?
Right.
Which is also a pretty new team, not in a significantly better way, this year. So the Sky are, going to struggle this year like they did last year. Mm-hmm. So I think it was an incredible showing defensively. We will have to see when the Fever start to play better teams what it will look like, but at least they have shown that they can bring it on defense now.
Right. I'll add This was an unfair barometer game for Chicago. Obviously, people's temperature about that team are, Kristen had them 6th in her power rankings. I had them 10th in my power rankings. There's a lot of ups and downs about what people think they're actually going to end up with. And, to put them national TV in Indiana, game 1, Indiana, the team that most people say was the one that got, changed the most, got the most better, got better the most. It just didn't sound right. It was an unfair test for Chicago. Now, if Chicago came out and won this game, then there'd be a very interesting conversation, but Chicago lost by 35, which, like you said, highlights the defense. I really was, impressed by Natasha Howard. I think she's going to be very good for them this year, and Aaliyah Boston definitely is taking a real leap. But I do feel like with everything that happened, this is an unfair game to say that like the Sky are a bad team. Mm-hmm. We're going to learn more from the Sky when they play LA, let's say, or when they play Golden State, or when they play Connecticut. Are they feasting on those bad teams? Because this is a really good team. If Connecticut played the freaking Aces, then they probably would have also gotten blown out too. So I don't want to say that it's entirely Indiana so good, Chicago so bad, but this was the biggest margin of victory by any team this weekend. And it really did feature that Indiana defense that you talked about. It's also worth it to highlight Caitlin had her 3rd triple-double of her career in the opening game. She was maybe stat padding to a degree. Didn't need to necessarily be out there.
Yeah, not sure she had to be playing when they were winning by 30, but...
Got to get that triple-double.
Yeah.
Got to set some records. And Angel did have a double-double as well. So Angel's going to start her streak again. And maybe she's going to break the streak that she set last season. We'll see. I have a bet on one of the sports books that Angel at any point in the season will record 26 rebounds in a game.
Whoa.
It was like a crazy odds. And I was like, well, Angel could just like go crazy and do it one day. So I believe in it. But yeah, look, the Fever are going to be very good. Like they're just going to be good. And we're going to see a lot of them this year. So they're taking the right step forward in the thing that they needed to fix the most. So that's the defense. Mm-hmm. Our number 2 item to talk about is the show that Kelsey Plum put on in LA on opening night after Nafisa Collier in the previous game scored 34 points to tie the record for most points in a opening night game. Kelsey Plum comes out and drops 37 points, hits a ton of threes, has a ton of assists, and she's that like flash of a player that everyone expects her to be. And
I don't think that's true.
Oh, you don't think so?
I don't think everyone expected her to be that.
Oh, why? Why would you say that?
I just never heard. I did not hear the storylines in this offseason of Kelsey Plum is going to be the highest scorer. One of the highest scorers because now she's, going to LA.
Sure.
That's what I thought.
Uh-huh.
That's why I drafted her.
In our fantasy league.
Yes. But I don't think people were saying that.
Not as much, certainly not as much as they should have been, because it was so clear in game 1 that Kelsey's green light is going to be like so huge. They are going to let her get to the rim as much as she wants, take as many shots as she wants. And, unfortunately in this game, the Sparks lost one of their, guard forwards in Ray Burrell, who went down with a knee injury. 6 to 8 weeks for Ray. Fortunately, it wasn't worse than it seemed because it looked like it was another UCLA injury, another ACL injury. But that just means that Kelsey's plate is going to be that much bigger to command the guard position for this team that still has aspirations to win. They handle Golden State pretty handily, but then, in the following game against a better Minnesota team, they didn't have the firepower that they needed. And like Kelsey, if she's, going to win this team 20 games, she's going to probably have to do a lot of what she did in game 1 to make that possible.
She still had 18 points.
Oh, yeah. No, she was still good.
2.
But that's half of what she had in game 1.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost by how many?
14.
So, I mean, she's going to be exciting for LA. And I'm glad that it's just like, it was immediate. And now she has all like the flash of being that player that scored the most. She feels like the type of player that scores the most in an opening night. All the smoke.
Yeah. No, it's her show now in LA.
Which is very fun. And yeah, that's all I have on Kelsey Plum.
I guess I can mention in the second game they played against the Lynx, Azare Stevens had a very good game. Azare and De'Erica both had better games against the Lynx than they had against the Valkyries. Mm-hmm. Which is just kind of interesting to me because those are their two bigs, right? Essentially. Their bigs are playing better against Minnesota.
A bigger team.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of that, but at least, Azare shows she can score 21. De'Erica Hamby had a double-double in this game. 20 points, 10 rebounds. Mm-hmm. So they will also be solid pieces of this team.
Oh, yeah.
Once Ray Burrell can hopefully come back, like, this team is not going to be bad.
No.
But showing that they can step up and help Kelsey Plum in perhaps a down night when she still has 18 points.
Mm-hmm. Well, and sometimes when a player gets hurt, it opens up opportunities for other players. And in this second game, we saw a lot of Odyssey Sims, who there was one play in particular where she absolutely had the clamps on Courtney for 20 seconds of the shot clock. And it ultimately ended up in a basket for Minnesota. But like, I was so impressed at her ability to pick up a shifty, like really quick player like Courtney. And really, there should have been a backcourt violation that they completely missed. But Odyssey really impressed me. I don't really have a lot of knowledge about Odyssey's game, but I know she was very good in AU, and I know she was pretty good for Dallas last year. So I'm excited to see her now in most likely an expanded role with Ray being out of the rotation. And a player like Sarah Ashley Barker, who was a first-round pick, is going to get more minutes as well. And she showed that she has a pretty high engine, or a pretty high motor. Like, she can do a lot of things on both ends of the ball, and she's going to get a better chance to showcase that with Ray on the bench for 6 to 8 weeks. So there's some silver linings. It sucks because I was really high on Ray Burrell going into this year, but sometimes these things happen, and we'll have to see what LA does to fix it.
Okay. Let's go to our third takeaway, which was the New York Liberty starting off very strong this year and are hugely improved with adding Natasha Cloud. In their game against the Aces, the Liberty won 92-78, and Natasha Cloud had 22 points, played the most minutes of anyone on the team. Mm-hmm. 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. Whew. Like, just so all over the court.
Full stat sheet.
Dominating. Stewie had more points than her, but only 3 more. Mm-hmm. So she really just, like, it has become already such a leader on this team.
Right.
Especially when someone who you are relying on to get points as well, Sabrina Ionescu, is not showing up in this game. Mm-hmm. Sabrina had 8 points. She had 7 rebounds, which is a lot. But Sabrina didn't have any threes in this game, which broke her 3-point streak, which was 63 games.
Starting from last year, of course.
Yeah.
Well, and the year before that, I guess.
Right, the past 2 years. Mm-hmm. And she starts this year breaking it. Sabrina, I don't know. I mean, she she didn't go overseas or anything in the offseason. She played in Unrivaled for a little bit. Perhaps she just has to warm up a little. She was a little rusty.
Yeah.
She did have an injury at the end of last year. But in this situation where Sabrina can only shoot 25% field goal percentage and not have 1-3, you need someone else to step up. And it was just incredible watching Natasha Cloud step up like that.
Right. Yeah. I was very impressed by Tosh. For, full transparency, we started this game at halftime while we were driving home from the mall. So I was just kind of mostly listening to the call and trying to check it and not, be a responsible co-pilot on the ride home. She's so tough and so gritty. And we talked about this when we talked about New York, that they might not have a chip on their shoulder because they won the championship last year. All these players were there. Tosh was not there. And Tosh wants it really bad. Like clearly indicative of the way that she played and the way that the crowd already loves her for that. I'm glad she came out swinging in her first game. Like it is awesome to me because she had ups and downs in Unrivaled. I was thinking that she was going to be amazing in Unrivaled, and it was mostly her team that was really bad. But like to see her fit into the starting five so seamlessly already in game one, when we get to point number 4, it's going to be kind of the flip side of that coin. But yeah, just really great stuff from Tosh. And it's hard to expect New York to really fall behind because, I made this comment about like maybe Stewie's not 100%. She's 100%. Like Stewie's locked in and New York is really good. And they made the Aces look not as good as I expect the Aces to be this season. So if it's all right, why don't we segue to takeaway number 4? The Aces, Asia looked amazing. Jackie Young looked amazing. Jewel Lloyd, their big offseason addition, did not look particularly amazing. In 32 minutes of action, she had you have the stats up, 5 points, 4 rebounds and 2 assists.
Yep.
Yeah, not a great day at the office for Jewel. I think it's funny because you see how well it worked with Tosh joining the New York starting 5, where it's the same starting 5. And now you have Jewel replacing Kelsey Plum in the starting 5 for the Aces. And they almost didn't know what to do sometimes with Jewel, which I kind of think is the problem. Like Tosh is just like, I'm going to go get a bucket. I'm going to drive.
Yeah.
And I'm going to kick.
Because I think, from what I recall, the Liberties offense did not run depending on Courtney Vandersloot, who Natasha Cloud is replacing.
Right.
So much of the Aces offense was because of Kelsey Plum.
Sure. Yeah. From her speed, from her threat to shoot the ball from wherever on the court. Yeah, you replace that, and now the burden's going to go on to other players, which is kind of why I see Jackie Young stepping up, like why she had a great day, because I think she's going to be more of that Kelsey Plum role. But then it's still like, what is Jewel going to be?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's what I thought when she came.
Right.
I feel like Jewel didn't have a great year last year. People are hoping she rebounds and comes back. Right. But this game definitely didn't show that.
Right.
So perhaps they are figuring it out. They need to learn some more plays. Obviously, playing against New York, that's your toughest competition. So that doesn't help. Give them a couple weeks, but if you take a couple weeks, you're behind.
Correct. Right. It's almost like last season where they had to wait until Chelsea got back be healthy. Now it's a different situation. You gotta work to figure out what you do. Mm-hmm. And other teams already know what they do.
Yep.
Like a lot quicker, which could be a problem. Now they're still going to feast on bad teams. I mean, Asia was Asia, the best player in the world. She had 31, 16, 3, 2 steals, a block. She becomes the 6th player in league history to have 100 career double-doubles, which is kind of funny to say when like Angel already has 28 or 29. Like Angel's going to do it in like 2 years, which is kind of silly. But like Asia is 28 years old. She set that. And I would be pretty stunned if she doesn't double or triple that total. Like by the time she retires, to see her with 300 double doubles, could totally see that as the case. She is, in a really good spot. She had the release of her shoe. She's riding high. I don't doubt the Aces. I just think they have some figuring out to do and some rotational things that Becky Hammond and co are going to need to figure out if this team is going to, get back to the top that they're expected to be.
Yep.
Kick off summer with Memorial Day savings at Lowe's. Right now, get 5 Scott's Naturescapes 1.5 cubic foot mulch bags for just $10. Plus, get up to 40% off select major appliances and save an extra $50 on every $500 you spend on select major appliances $396 or more. Lowe's, we help, you save. Valid through 5/28. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location. While supplies last. See Lowe's.com for more details.
Okay, so let's move just a little bit south and talk about our point number 5, which is I was just completely shocked by Phoenix beating the Seattle Storm, especially because Kalia Copper is out.
Yeah.
Basically, your whole team was this core 3 of Kalia Copper, Alyssa Thomas, and Satu Sabali.
Right.
While you're down a key person, the team was 2 people, and they still somehow beat the Seattle Storm.
Yeah.
They beat them. They outscored them every single quarter. Satu had 27 points. Alyssa Thomas had 20, and the rest of the lineup had some solid showings too.
Yeah.
So I was just honestly shocked.
Yeah, you were shocked. I was shocked. Friend of the pod, Laura, our Phoenix Mercury fan in the group chat, she was stunned, and she's back in. She believes again. They really did a lot for the X Factor in this game. I think there was certainly concerns, and especially going into tip-off when we learned that Ka's out 4 to 6 weeks with a knee scope, and Natasha Mack, who was with this team, the only other player with this team last year, is out 2 to 3 weeks with a back injury.
So there's literally not one person on the whole roster that was there last year.
Nope.
That is insane.
It is. At truly wild things. We obviously have the situation in Connecticut where it's a brand new starting 5, but there's at least a handful of holdovers. This is nope. The last 2, they're not even healthy. So now it's going to be AT and Satu running the show, and we should, give props to Satu. Satu was really good in this game, really good from beyond the arc. She took a lot of attempts, but the 3 that she made, I didn't even realize she took 9 attempts, but I was very impressed with her quick release and the distance that she was getting off on that shot. 27 points is the most by a Mercury player in their debut. So Satu's right now already in the Mercury record books. And I think this goes back to my original thought that Alyssa Thomas is the best floor raiser in the game. She does so much, and we talked about how much she's expected to do, but she's just so good, and it's so effortless for her, for a player with 2 torn labrums to be so good at the game. It's so amazing to see.
And last year the narrative around Alyssa Thomas was last year was Alyssa Thomas's MVP revenge tour.
Yeah.
Because in a very weird situation, 2 years ago, she lost the MVP, but she got the most number one votes.
Mm-hmm.
She lost it because Brianna Stewart had so many more second place, whatever. However the math worked out, Alyssa Thomas got the most first place votes, but still lost MVP.
Yeah.
So last year, you know, she wanted to win, and things went south in Connecticut. If she can do this consistently,
It would be an interesting case.
I think she deserves it.
Sure. She's definitely got to be top 5 already. There are a couple other MVP candidates we're going to talk about later, but yeah, I was just so impressed by this Mercury team, and I'm excited to learn about Lexi Held and Catherine Westbeld, some of these other players that are in their rotation, because I was expecting to see more Sammy Whitcomb, and we saw a good bit of her, but she didn't particularly do anything massive on the offensive side. So we're going to learn about this new look Mercury team, especially without Ka. And just to flip over on the flip side of this game being not as competitive as we might have hoped, Seattle was very out of sorts. This isn't even one of our takeaways, but like, I was really excited to see Dominique. Did not get a lot of Dominique minutes. I think she played less than 10 minutes, which is, a shame. They didn't really have like sets to run for her because they were already falling behind. And it was a lot of like, what can Sky do to keep them in the game? But not a very good showing by Seattle in this one, which is why this was a 32-point loss led by, those two in Phoenix.
Yeah, I really hope that they're going to have more of a plan for Dominique.
I do too.
Like, she played less than 10 minutes and had 2 points. Only had 2 attempts.
Right. They weren't looking to like try to run any offense. I don't know. Maybe it's just like the nerves of it all. And I don't remember how bad they were losing when they like pulled her. But she was in the first quarter, but it just wasn't looking good.
Yeah. I hope they, like, the strength of the Seattle Storm can be their size.
Right.
And their post dominance, which is absolutely something that the Mercury doesn't have.
Right. They just didn't have an opportunity to try it.
To even try. Right. They didn't really even try.
Right.
So we'll see how Seattle starts to use Dominique.
Yeah.
I pray that it's more than they used the rookies last year.
Correct. Because that would be a bad sign for this coaching staff.
That's horrible. Fired. Noelle Quinn fired.
Yeah, you can't just not play the number 2 pick.
Right. So
yeah. And as we're recording this, Seattle's about to take on Dallas in their second game of the year. So, by the time you're listening to this, maybe Seattle has an impressive second game and we're changing our tune. But right now, Seattle has some things to figure out as well. So moving on to our next takeaway, item number 6, we have the MVP of it all and some impact from some new players in the rotation, at least for us, Diamond Miller and Jess Shepard. I mentioned this earlier near the top of the show that Nafisa Collier in her first game had 34 points, 4 assists, and 4 rebounds. She played very good ball, and after the results of the GM survey, she is the player that the GMs expect to win MVP. There's a lot of buzz about the Lynx winning the championship. If you ask most people that are WNBA fans, they're picking the Lynx to win it all because of a many number of reasons, but one is the play of Nafisa Collier. I have money on Fee to win the MVP because I think she's very, very good, and I think that is a worthwhile thing to bet on. But there's going to be a lot of discussion about Fee. Just worth it to note that she played up to her standards. Courtney Williams was very good. And don't want to take that away from her. But I do want to focus a little bit on Diamond Miller and Jessica Shepard, players that have been with the team or were with the team last season, but we didn't know because of their injury statuses or them being away with the team. What are your immediate thoughts on Jess Shepard? You got it? You got anything off the top of your, okay. Jessica Shepard, I just want to say, like, friend of the pod, Jonathan, told us that this was a player that Minnesota really liked and a player that I did not know anything about. But immediately in the first game, Alana Smith, unavailable, Jess fills in a pinch and has a really, really solid game. Really good in the paint. I was impressed with some of the touch passes that she had. Some of the touch on her shot was really good. She finished at stuffing the stat sheet, 15 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal. Was really showing that she's capable of doing it all and did not look out of sorts, like looked like one of the best players on the team, which for a player that I had not previously heard of, to be adding that to a roster like this that has championship pursuits, I was like, okay, Jessica Shepard's going to be a real piece for this team. And, and I mentioned Diamond Miller. Diamond Miller in that first game showcased her defensive prowess. She was a high draft pick for the Lynx in a previous season. She had a really good rookie season with the team and was hurt all year last year. I think she's going to add to their versatility and their depth. And I'm excited to see what we get out of her this season.
Yeah, Diamond Miller played less minutes and had much less of an impact in the second game versus the Sparks. She only had 2 points.
Right.
So I think they're figuring out how to use Diamond Miller. Alana Smith came back in that game, and we're still waiting for Kayla McBride to come back.
Yes.
So that will also change this whole lineup.
Big question mark what's going on in Minnesota, but she should be back soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like Minnesota already 2-0. They're at the top of my board, and I don't think they're going to be taking their foot off the gas anytime soon. So exciting things happening in Minnesota.
You want to talk about another team that's 2-0, John?
I do. The surprise of the season so far. Surprise of the weekend.
Our 7th takeaway is just how good the Mystics have been.
Yes.
How good of chemistry these rookies already seem to have.
Kiki-tron.
Yeah, it's Kiki, Iriafen, Sonia, Citron, and unfortunately Georgia Amore, but she's hurt, won't play this whole year. But this whole team is so young. Like Jade Melvin, although she's been with the team a couple years, she's international and is very young.
Yep.
And like just the chemistry that this team seems to have is so good already. The way that they like their passes are good. They are finding each other. They have so much energy, like in combination with Brittany Sykes, who just like already has so much energy. Just was like shocking to see them beat the Dream in their first game.
Right.
That was a very tough game, but they ended up winning 94-90, high scoring. I wouldn't have expected that from the Mystics. Brittany Sykes led that with 22 points, but the rookies were right behind her they had 19 and 14 in this first game. I think they are making mistakes, of course.
Right.
But I think they are seeing that and they're quickly changing what they're doing. Like they seem to be very adaptable and very smart.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to a comment that we got on one of our episodes on Spotify, our preview, actually for the Mystics, when I said that I expected Georgia Amore to be in the starting 5. Now, this was before her injury, but we got a comment saying that, no, it's going to be Jade Melvin. And, I didn't see a lot of Jade Melvin's game the first season that we started this podcast, but I have been very impressed at her ability to run the point with this team, run the offense. Very capable player. I think there's a lot of upside there. And I probably was disrespectful to Jade Melvin. So congratulations, Jade Melvin, for proving me way wrong. You are a very good player. I immediately picked you up in fantasy. And I just think that she brings a good value to this team. And I can't not shout out Brittany Sykes, who is going to be the heart of this squad, even if they're so young. She's the one that's going to have to deliver. And she's been incredible. So many and ones. In both of these games, like her ability to finish has gotten really good in Unrivaled. You know, some people would say, like, name a better duo than Brittany Sykes and a missed layup. Like, she would miss a lot of layups, but she is not missing them at all right now, and it's helping the Mystics win. And the last thing I'll add here is that legitimate Rookie of the Year cases already for Citron and Iriafen. Like, if they're going to play this well, then it's not just going to be a guarantee that Paige wins Rookie of the Year like some people might expect. Like, Paige is going to have to play up to them because they're playing really good ball. And that is just an exciting thing that I did not expect to see at the start of the season. And I'm glad that we're witnessing it after the first weekend.
Well, I guess we have to mention the second game against Connecticut.
Sure.
Since we will not be talking about Connecticut really in one of these main points. The Mystics came from behind to beat Connecticut 90-85. It was a close game most of the game, but in the fourth quarter the Sun were winning.
Right.
And the Mystics came back to win. Tina Charles had 23, right on pace with what we said she would average this year. I'd like to see it bump up a little.
Yeah. Just add some scoring, T.
But she's really doing her best on this team. I think the Sun... There was like 60 fouls in this game.
A ridiculous amount of fouls. Way too many fouls.
That's unacceptable.
Honestly, that was my critique on the weekend. There were way too many fouls called already, and we cannot make this, a Sephora ref situation. They need to figure out to swallow their whistle a little bit more because it's making the ends of some of these games borderline unwatchable, which is annoying.
I guess just in Connecticut, we're really just still waiting. Like, we're waiting to see Anissa Morrow. We're waiting to see Sanaya Rivers.
Who's back with the team.
Good.
Which is exciting.
And once they come back, we'll be able to, talk more about how the team really is going to be. And the future of it with these two rookies.
Right. And look, I was proven wrong because Marina did play and she hooped. So Marina's back.
Of course Marina's going to play. She's like the most into it.
Yes, I just want Marina to have fun.
Marina's little video where she's getting so mad at the ref and then she just turns around and goes...
She's really working on herself. On herself. She's taking her crash outs in stride.
Yeah.
And we love that about her.
Yeah, I'm really proud of her.
Yes. And Tina keeps scoring. Keep scoring, Tina. Takeaway number 8. About the Golden State Valkyries in that opening night game, Julie Von Lowe needs to be in the starting lineup. She did not start. We had her penciled into our starting lineup, and she balled out for all intents and purposes. She was the one that was getting the crowd rocking. She had multiple heat check threes where she absolutely buried them. You've got the stats. How many did she hit on the night?
How many threes did she hit?
On how many attempts? Because she at one point she was just kind of bricking.
Yeah, she made 4 threes on 10 attempts.
Okay.
But I think 3 of them were in a row.
Yes, correct.
So it felt like a lot,
It felt like 7 or 8 that she made, but she put on a show, and she's a really good player. And I'm glad that she didn't get cut, and that they didn't make the mistake of cutting her.
They would not have cut her.
I know some people thought that they would have.
I know, and I don't get that.
I don't get it either. But great player, deserves to be in the starting five because she's an experienced player too. Even if this is her second year of the W, she's a longtime Euro player. And if you're unfamiliar with her, her rookie season with Washington last year, she started a ton of games. She started 35 plus. So she's proven, and they don't have a lot of proven. And I think they could stand to use a little proven.
Yeah, I mean, when your other starting guards, Veronica Burton had 2 points. Kate Martin, apparently is a power forward, had 2 points.
Yeah, can we just talk about that? What were their starting fives by position? Because they did some wacky, wild things here.
It just says forward, center, guard on here. Mm-hmm. But I'm pretty sure, like, Tiffany Hayes was the starting point guard.
Yes.
And then it was Veronica Burton.
Yeah, as a starting shooting guard. Kayla Thornton was the 3, the small forward. And then they had Kate listed as the power forward. What the heck is happening?
Kate, right. It made no sense. They are just going to have, how many games are there? 44? 44. They're going to have 44 different starting lineups probably.
I think so, but and I hope so.
Fine, try it.
Yeah. It's no surprise that they start Kate here, because the Golden State announcers say every time Kate touches the ball, they get cheers. She gets the whole place lights up.
Exactly. So Kate's going to start probably like 2 more weeks.
Uh-huh.
And then she won't start again.
You think so?
Yeah.
Except like spot starts.
And that's fine.
18,000 fans, you got to make them loud.
Right. Give them some juice at the beginning.
Yes, make sure the V's are up.
Yeah, they are. Okay, so takeaway number 9. We can go back to the Atlanta Dream. Mm-hmm. Something just really didn't go right for the Atlanta Dream this opening weekend.
Yeah.
I think the new head coach, Carl Smezko, his strategy is definitely shooting a lot of threes, which, of course, Ryan Howard and Alicia Gray can do.
Yep.
Jordan Canada, of course, is out. So that also, takes away from the 3-point, percentage on your team. And I think he came into this opening game with the strategy of we're going to shoot as many threes as possible, and that's how we're going to win. But I really just think that he's going to have to reevaluate, because like probably 2 of your best players are Brittany Griner and Brianna Jones, who do not shoot threes.
Well, yes. Don't traditionally shoot threes.
Correct. Of course, we've seen BG hit a couple threes lately. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm not about to double team BG on a 3.
Right.
It's not the threat.
Right.
And I think he started to realize this towards the end, because Brittany Griner didn't have that many points until the middle of the 4th quarter, when they finally decided to change it up a little bit and have her just, score some layups. Mm-hmm. You bet that BG would have how many points? 11?
No, 18.
18.
And she hit it on in the last minute.
Right at the end.
Right. But it all came in the 4th quarter.
Right. Mm-hmm. So that was weird.
Right.
I guess good that they adjusted, but they still lost. It was too late.
It was right. That was the biggest thing. It was too late to do that with BG. You needed to have a steady diet of that earlier in the game. Mm-hmm. And they probably would have been in a much better situation come the 4th quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just trying it out.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he realizes, actually, the strength of my team is we have the tallest player in the league. Mm-hmm. I would think that you should use her to the best of her ability, which is not shooting threes.
Correct.
And not just setting screens for everyone else. She's a good scorer. Mm-hmm. Let her score and draw up some plays. So we'll see how Carl Smezko and his team can adjust. I think it just really didn't go well in this opening game.
Yeah, I was still impressed by some of what I saw, especially out of Bree Jones. I think she's going to be very good and very well liked by the coaching staff. There was a lot of like single Bree Jones offensive sets that they were running. And you know, at times she looked pretty stout. Plenty of blocks for Atlanta too, worth noting. Like they can still figure out their defensive situation, but this was a 4-point loss, and Ryan Howard was 3 of 12 from 3. So, you know, if Ryan makes one more 3, then the score is very different. I mean, it's only a 1-point loss, but it's also like the whole flow of the game would have been different if she made any one of those one more threes at an earlier point in time. And Alicia Gray was 6 of 10. That's my goal.
That's great.
Mm.
I was just going to say, Ryan made a lot of threes at the beginning, right?
Yes.
And then kind of cooled down.
Yeah. It's going to be like Smesko, whether he learns from it or not, he's still going to want to shoot 30 plus threes a game. I don't see him changing that mindset because unfortunately that's how you win modern basketball games. You make a good percentage of threes, and they shot 36 and they made 12, something like that. If they make 14, they win the game. Mm-hmm. So, it's just, yes, going to be recognizing like we need to go meat and potatoes, get BG or Bree in the pick and roll and get them to the hoop and score some easy buckets because you have so much size that you can't just let stand doing nothing while your guards shoot the ball. Yeah. So I expect a change from Atlanta. I was very high on Atlanta. I'm slightly less high on Atlanta, but I'm still high on them. I still believe.
Okay. Good.
And our last takeaway, out of Dallas, I think there's a potential question about the center position that I want to bring up because... Potential. Well, you know, unfortunately, the schedule makers in the WNBA double booked the Minnesota-Dallas game and the Atlanta-Washington game at the same time on opening night, which pissed me off and made us do the 2-screen experience at home where we had to pull out our mini TV. But I didn't have as much time to focus on this Dallas game. But going back and checking how things went, Tiara McCowan, their starting center, in under 5 minutes, had 4 personal fouls. And that was all she played in this game. That's questionable to me. I fear for how well this team can be if they don't have a real center game. And they lost Kalani Brown to the expansion draft. They lost Kalani Brown in a trade to Phoenix. And now they're trying to run some 2 bigs in Maisha Hines-Allen and Alyssa Smith, who neither of those players I would believe or I would consider a proper traditional center, which I feel like is a player that would work well when you're going to be having 3 guard lineups with Paige, Arike, and Dejanay. Mm-hmm. You got to have some capable size, and I just worry about that, the depth of their big rotation, if you're going to have issues like Tiara McCowan receiving 4 fouls in under 5 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, you said starting center. She didn't start.
Yeah, thank you for correcting me. I realized as I said it, I expected her to start. She didn't actually start.
Yeah.
But which is even crazier that she gets 4 personal fouls off of the bench.
Right, literally off the bench in 4 minutes. Insane.
Not good.
Yeah, they have an Alyssa Smith classified as their center, as their starting center.
Which I don't think of her as that. I think of her as a power forward. I know she's 6'4". So like she's certainly a big, and I certainly expect them to use her a decent amount, but I still question like her being, you know, a rim defender, and, you know, I didn't necessarily see what she can do with Paige or with Arike on the ball. So there's just questions about what they're going to do. And, you know, there's, again, still plenty of time. Don't want to overreact to one game, but like these are things that are worth paying attention to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like your starting center should have like at least one block.
Well, yeah. And she didn't have a single block.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, look, Dejanay was very impressive in game 1, as expected. She is a defensive dog. They went and got her so that she could be a defensive dog, so that they can play 3-guard lineups, so that they can make Paige and Enrique work together and not have to, you know, go full on defense all the time. But, you know, you're going to be losing so much size.
Right. And I really don't mean to say that like Melissa Smith is bad. I just mean to say like she doesn't play center. So why is she doing that?
Right.
Which like is just the problem in Dallas.
And it's not, it's not that she doesn't play center. It's just like, I just don't think that I don't get the sense that she wants to play center. Obviously she has played center in the past, but like, she doesn't like feel perfect in that role to me. And of course the first person off your bench is going to be Maddie Siegrist, who is not the best defensive player. Very good player on offense, but you know, not the best defensively. So if you're going to struggle to have 2+ players that are good defenders on the court at any given time, like you're going to lose games. So this is going to be something that Chris Koklanes and his coaching staff are going to have to figure out. And maybe they need to go look for a move that they can make if they want to be competitive, or they just want to learn and figure it out, which more power to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I think that's our little roundup of the opening weekend. Mm-hmm. Thanks for watching with us.
Yes, thanks for watching with us. Thanks for talking to us.
I think it's just important to realize how many things are going on throughout the whole league, and not just on one or two particular teams that tend to be talked about most frequently.
I agree. There are a million things to talk about in the W, and that's why we love covering it through Attack the Baseline. So thank you so much for listening. If you would like to reach out to us and let us know how you're feeling about your team or what your outlook is on the season as a whole, you can send us an email, attackthebaseline@gmail.com, or you could connect with us on Bluesky and Instagram at ATBPod. Very much having a blast over there. So come check us out. We're going to be back next week talking about the first greater week of WNBA action. But we've got a game to go watch. So, Kristen, I'm staring at the baseline. What are we going to do?
Attack it.
Attack the baseline. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back very soon talking about more WNBA hoops.